I want you to imagine that you're driving down the highway. You're driving down the highway. Maybe you don't drive, so you're riding your bike down the road. You're driving down the highway. When you're driving down the highway, you know where you came from. You know where you're going. On top of that, you know how fast you can go. You know the speed limit. You know what your next turn is going to be. And so you keep driving. Pretty straightforward. Now, it may be at some point when you're driving down the road that, your destination changes. You thought you were going one place and you say, you know what? I'm not going to go that place. I'm going to go to another place, right? I'm going to change the direction we're going, change the route, change the speed. But you still know where you're going. You still know how you're getting there. You still know what speed you're going on. You just changed your destination. But now I want you to imagine you're driving down the highway. All of a sudden, you can't remember where you came from. You can't remember where you're going. You don't even know how fast you're supposed to be driving. Now, if you were in a situation where you were driving down the highway and you did not know where you were going, you didn't know where you were coming from, you didn't even know how fast you were going to drive, you know what you would probably do? Stop the car. That's what I would do. If I were driving down the highway and I didn't know where I was going, didn't know where I came from, didn't know how I was getting to where I was going, I would jerk to a stop. I would jerk to a stop because I wouldn't know where I was going. Folks, ideology is like knowing where you're going, knowing where you came from, knowing how you're getting there. That's what ideology is, right? Ideology is like that. We all need ideology. There's a reason that human beings throughout history have invented religions and philosophical schools and political, ideology. The ideology was invented so that human beings could fulfill that basic need. It lets human beings know where they came from, where they're going, how they're going to get there. It gives you the ability to point to the map and say, I am here. That's what ideology is for. That's what ideology is for, right? It is the reason. It's when you're driving down the road of life, why you're going, where you came from, etc. That's what ideology is. And the reason we're having a problem now is because of this. This is why we're having a problem. I am going to tell you why there is a mental health crisis in the United States right now. I'm going to tell you why the suicide rate is through the roof, why drug addiction and alcoholism are through the roof. I'm going to tell you why it is. I'm going to tell you the very simple reason that this is happening. This is why it's happening. During the Cold War, in the 1950s, Cold War is going on. And, we had our ideology. And the Soviet Union and the communists had their ideology. They were competing ideologies. There was the ideology of Marxism that said the working class is struggling to rise up and seize control of the means of production, fight for justice, eventually get to a stateless, classless world. There was the ideology of the United States that said the free market and hard work is the answer, and the West is the best, and democracy and liberty and individualism and Christianity, etc. There were competing ideologies. And among sections of the population that were suffering, like African Americans, like low-income workers, there were a lot of people, not a lot, but some people, who said, you know what? I don't like where I'm going. I don't like where I came from. I don't like where I'm going. I don't like where I came from. I'm changing the destination. We're going this way. Going this way. And that worked fine for them, right? They were driving this way. Didn't work. So they changed destination. They started driving another way. That was a bit of a problem for the American imperialists. It was a bit of a problem for the CIA. It was a bit of a problem, right? Now, they knew in the 1950s we had a booming economy, but they feared that, hey, what if there's a big economic crisis? What if there's big rebellions? Could we get to a situation where all the working people of the United States stop driving our way and start driving the other way? How do we stop this? How do we keep them from changing direction? How do we keep them from switching ideologies? That was what they discovered. They said, how do we make sure that if there's a crisis, if there's an economic and political crisis in the United States, if people are fighting in the streets, if there's mass unemployment and starvation, and people are just determined, how do we make sure that in the middle of a crisis, they don't switch the way they're driving? Here's what you do. You tell them there's no road. You tell them you're not going anywhere. You tell them you're not coming from any place. Postmodernism. Postmodernism is a way to guarantee that if people don't like where they're going and don't like where they came from, they don't switch. That's what's happening right now. We have entered the age of postmodernism. Postmodernism is not Marxism. Jordan Peterson is an idiot. Anyone who tells you that postmodernism is Marxism is an idiot. Postmodernism was invented to subvert Marxism. Marxism is an ideology. Marxism says human history is going to higher modes of production. There's class struggle that's driving human history forward, and eventually that's ideology. Postmodernism says that there is no grand ideology, there is no grand narrative of human history, there is no ideological truth. It's about deconstruction. So we've entered this period. Now you go back to the 1950s. Americans were pumped full of ideology. Right? Americans were pumped full of ideology. And in school, you were taught that in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and the Pilgrims really loved Thanksgiving, and the Native Americans danced with them, and it was really great. And America's the greatest country in the world. And if you don't think that, you must be crazy and brainwashed, because everybody knows America's the greatest country in the world, and we have the greatest system, and communism is pure evil and slavery, and America is the best. And that's what people were taught in school. Ideology, right? And it was the American ideology. Well, fast forward to 2020, 70 years later, that ideology has been debunked. That ideology has been debunked. The United States was founded on genocide of Native Americans. The United States was founded on slavery and the international slave trade. The United States has engaged in brutal, ugly wars around the world that have killed millions of people. The United States is a society that is greatly unequal, where a small group of billionaires and bankers have all the money and the wealth, and most people don't really have influence over how society is set up. The American ideology has been refuted. At this point, most people in the United States don't really believe in the American ideology. They don't. I mean, it's, we're at the point where people realize, you know what? The USA was started by slavery and genocide. The USA is an imperialist country. There is brutal, oppression in this country. There's a lot of suffering in this country. People realize this. But all that leads to is postmodernism. The Trump people, the Trump movement, is desperately trying to hold on to that ideology. That's why the Proud Boys, the white supremacist Proud Boys, what do they chant at all their rallies? West is the best. West is the best. They're trying to pretend that that's not true, that the American ideology is real. Well, they're wrong. It's not true. The American ideology has been debunked. But the creation of the synthetic left and the fake left has led Americans to this new place where, sure, the American ideology isn't true, but all ideologies aren't true. We're at a place as a society where we've stopped, we're not driving one way. We realize that where we came from, where we're going, that's a lie. We don't know it. We don't know it. But the only option we have when we've come to this conclusion is to stop driving, to stop the car. That is what postmodernism has done. Postmodernism has gotten Americans into a situation where they realize that the ideology they grew up with and the ideology that this country is built on is malarkey. But they cannot, in the name of anti-totalitarianism, in the name of freedom of thinking, in the name of individualism, in the name of postmodernism, they can't start driving another place. And in fact, the American ideology has been replaced with this belief that all ideology is totalitarian, all ideology is oppressive, there is no truth, there is nothing to believe in. And if you do believe in those things, you're a sucker. And anyone who tries to convince you to believe in those things is a totalitarian dictator, is a cult leader, is a narcissist, is a predator, is a fascist, is a Nazi. So at this point, a lot of Americans are stopping the car. They're stopping the car. They're just saying, you know what? Okay, well, I can't believe in America anymore. And I can't believe in anything else either, so I guess I just stop the car. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, the reason I exist, the reason that I'm on YouTube, I am convinced my purpose in life is to be that guy who tells you you don't have to stop the car. I am here to stand against American chauvinism and American imperialist ideology, but also against the synthetic left, against the postmodernists, against the deconstructionists, against the chaos death cult. I am here to say to you, you don't have to stop the car. There is truth in the world. You did come from someplace. You are going somewhere. You came from the greatest class in all of human history, the proletariat. And we, the proletariat, the working class, are going to seize control of the means of production. We are going to reorganize society so that poverty can be eradicated, so that scarcity can be eradicated. We are going to have a rationally organized economy so that we can get to a higher mode of production. We're coming from someplace and we're going someplace. Human history is marching onward. You don't have to stop the car. We realize that America is wrong. We realize that American imperialism is wrong, but we don't have to stop the car. There is another road. There is another destiny. There is another ideology. And if you think that makes me a Nazi, and if you think that makes me totalitarian, if you think that that makes me a cult leader, a megalomaniac, a narcissist, you go ahead and think that. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to stop the car. There is truth in the world. There is a way out of this nightmare that we are living under. There is a historical mission that you can be part of. There is right, there is wrong, and that essentially history has offered us a challenge. We, the working class, the greatest class in all of history, now have the job of eradicating the system that puts profit above people. We have the task ahead of us of ending the system of chaos and free markets and putting the people in control. And we carry with us a legacy full of great successes. It was us who turned Russia and China into superpowers. It was us who invented space travel. It's because of us and our ideology that Cuba has a small island, has a medical system that's admired all over the world. It's because of us and our ideology that Egypt is fully electrified. It's because of us and our ideology that Libya once had the highest life expectancy in the African continent under the leadership of Muammar Gaddafi. It's because of us and our ideology that China is the second largest economy in the world and has raised hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. It's because of us. It's because of us that so many great achievements for humanity have taken place. We carry with us the legacy of the greatest historical project in all of human history, the project to transform society, end exploitation, and build a world without suffering and coercion, the struggle to end the rule of profits and unleash human creativity to higher bounds than ever before. That's us. So you don't have to stop the car. You do not have to stop the car.